Good morning. Welcome to this discussion about Husky Intelligence automation. We appreciate you making the time to join us, and I hope this will be information that's helpful to you, and that you'll come visit us and let us show you around the system, do a demo for your business, and show what automation could be doing for you. On that note, let's get started right away. We'll make this a real quick tour. The first thing that we'll talk about, we'll actually run through the background here very quickly, talk about automation as a broader picture than just dispatching. We'll talk a little bit about the various modules. We'll do two demos. One demo is going to be about how you automate the estimate process, and the second is a demo about how you reschedule work in the system, and then how you do route optimization for the route that you're showing. And at the end, we'll actually go into the system itself and spend just a few minutes talking about what is it that makes the system different? What is it that allows us to offer the flexibility that the tool has and tailor it to your business, as opposed to just being an out-of-the-box system that you can't change, you can't edit fields, you can't add or take away fields, or things like that. So we want to show you how this can be tailored to your business, to run your business the way you want to run it. On that note, let's start talking here. From a background standpoint, the company started in Finland back in 2008. The founder was a guy by the name of Vesa Tarjanen, and Vesa is still involved in the business. After 4 years of working with the team there in Finland, getting operations up and running, he and his wife relocated to the States, and they live in the Houston, Texas area, and have been growing the business here in North America and Canada. The business is also in UK and Spain, and altogether have 7 countries and almost 3,000 customers. And that almost 3,000 customers is not just individual people, that's companies that are using the software. Originally, they worked almost entirely through resellers, and currently they're growing the direct sales force. And so they actually are using both channels in terms of getting the word out there, what the system can do for you, and selling, and then going through the exercise of configuring the system for individual businesses, training people, and getting them up and running. It's a great opportunity to be involved with the company. My name is Kimo Turner. I'm sorry I didn't introduce myself right up front there. And we're going to talk today about automation in general and how it's applied across the business. There's a number of different ways automation can help in your field service business. And it's not all about the dispatching process. It's not all about communicating the schedule to the guys in the field and the work that they're doing. It's much broader than that. And the goal across the business is going to be to eliminate paper. It's going to be to eliminate double entry, or sometimes triple or quadruple entry of information. If you're doing things on paper right now, you probably have separate customer address and contact information, so on, in each different department. And every time you try to do any kind of a transaction in any of the departments, somebody probably has to enter that information into the system for that particular activity. So that gets really simple and saves a lot of time just right off the bat. It also eliminates errors. We all know that the cost of errors is high. When you have an error, you have to spend time going back and researching it. You have to spend time fixing it. You spend time and you spend your capital in terms of the reputation that you developed with your customers. You are having a great expense when you have errors, and it takes time to recover from that. And so the goal is to eliminate errors that are being made. One of the things too that we hear repeatedly is that technicians who are working out in the field, if they're using paper and then they're writing down the measurements and the information about the repairs that they're doing and the adjustments that they're making and so on, if they write all that down on paper and then have to bring it back to the office or back to their home at night and sit down at a computer and enter that same information into the computer so that that record can be kept in a database somewhere and reported on, boy, that's frustrating. It takes a lot of time. You're paying for that time, and it's utilizing people in a way that's not particularly meaningful. Uh, People would generally rather be doing their primary tasks and automate these things that are support related, but aren't really what's adding the value as it relates to their particular skills. So whether that activity is being done by the technician or whether that activity is being done by somebody in the office, it's got the same problems in that it's not work that's viewed as meaningful, and people would much prefer typically to see that automated so that they can continue with the things that are really making a difference for the business. The last point here is then to drive profitability. With real-time reporting that's available by using a system like this, your data is current as the work is getting done. It's not a separate exercise that sometimes is lagging behind. It's real-time data. It's real-time reporting on that data, so you can actually see what's happening in your business as it's happening. On that note, let's move right on ahead. We all know Jeff Foxworthy. You might be a redneck if. Well, in this case, it's you might need Husky Intelligence automation if you complain about paperwork, or if you can't produce real-time reports, your technicians in the field use paper. You might need Husky Intelligence automation if your current system can't handle the amount of work, or maybe it doesn't hook up to accounting. One more, you might need Husky Intelligence automation if you have to enter customer information multiple times in your business process. I think many folks who are listening today can probably identify with one or two or maybe all of these, right? If you can identify with any of these, then you definitely want to stick with us as we run through this so that we can talk about the things that will matter to you in terms of automating your business and help you accomplish that. One of the things that I alluded to a little bit earlier is the fact that we try to apply these automation principles across the breadth of your business. So the software actually helps you deal with sales and CRM type activities and information, all the way through the job management, scheduling, the dispatching and mobile device interaction, invoicing, and reporting. It's also important to note that you can basically hook this up to your accounting softwares. So if you're using, as an example, QuickBooks Online, there's a connector that allows you to integrate this with QuickBooks, and you can synchronize the information, set that up to be done automatically every 15 minutes, and it maintains the information that you need in both systems and keeps that all current for you. There are two other elements here we won't spend a lot of time talking about, but there is a timeline element that allows you to track your emails along with any other activities like invoices or payments or um, estimates, jobs that you've done, work orders, all of those things as they relate to any given customer. So by going to that particular view, you can see all of the activities for that particular customer from that view in the sequence in which they're occurring and segregated by individual elements or lumped together as one large stream. The other element that's available here and that's really important is time and attendance. Uh, I don't have to tell you the pain that's involved in a manual paper process for time and attendance. It's something that's got to be done every day, right? It's got to be turned in probably every week. And it's driving really important things. It's driving the paychecks for those individuals that are working with you. And it doesn't really matter if it's high or it's low. That's not true. It does matter, right? The reality is it's an impact, whether it's high or it's low, it's a problem. The other thing is that that data is important as it relates to what your work is actually costing you. So wouldn't it be wonderful if you're estimating a job and then on the back end, you can actually see what labor was assigned to that particular job to understand if your estimate numbers are good. You might know on a broad sense when you look at the whole picture that they're good, but can you tell what's good and what's not good so that you can improve the things that aren't particularly good? Okay, enough said there. There's a lot of capability and a lot of opportunity to impact your business. Looking at this screen, I won't read them to you, but these are the 7 different general industries that we are supporting. The software can obviously support any industry that's got people out on the road doing service and scheduling jobs and those kinds of things. But we really focus on these industries because we feel like we understand them inside out. We have a great deal of experience dealing with these industries, and we bring that experience to the table when we're working with you. As an example there, the system itself is not an out-of-the-box system that's standardized and you just open it up and use it. It's a system that gets configured to your business. So it supports your processes. It looks and feels how you want it to look. And quite frankly, how your customers are used to seeing your information appear when you're interacting with them. So in doing so, there's a lot of opportunity for interaction, for your input as the forms are being designed, as the reports are being designed, and then to be able to consult with you in terms of the way we've seen the industry broadly solving the same kinds of problems that you're struggling with. We also learn a great deal. As we go to each job, we're learning from your experiences and then able as we develop future things in the system and as we do future configurations, we're able to add that knowledge to kind of our base of experience and be more effective consultants for other business owners also. Moving ahead here. This is the first estimate we're going to run through. And specifically here, what we're going to do is show you the automation of an estimate. And then the next one will be the automation of a rescheduling of a job, and then the route optimization of that job. Here, I'll try to be extremely brief in my commentary, but the old way was using spreadsheets and paper forms and things like that. And you went out, you did your measurements and took pictures and whatever you were going to do. But then there was still a significant effort to get back to the office and pull it together as an estimate. On the right-hand side, we'll show you how you would do an estimate in Husky Intelligence. And it's only 1 minute long, so my comments will be very brief as we go through, but we'll get rolling with that. And here we go. So basically, they're selecting which estimate type they want to do. They're putting in the customer name, and you can see to the right, the little wheel was going, finding VESA, and then populating all the other fields in that segment with information that's already known as far as the customer contact information, addresses, and so on. Now they're going through these lines were already pre-selected because of the fact that it was this particular template for the annual maintenance, and they're changing quantity and the number of services per year It's changing all the pricing, and they're printing the annual contract summary. And bam, you got it right there. We'll pause for just a moment. So all of the information that they just put together in a matter of seconds, yes, they still have to do the activities in the field, like count things and measure things and so on for the estimate. But once they've done that, all of the materials, all of the pricing elements like labor and things like that that also go into the equation with the materials are already accounted for. And all you're doing is plugging in the measurements and the volumes and so on that you took in the field. And the rest is done by the system basically to pull it together. Now we're going to save and send. So we're taking that same document and it's populating with the customer's email address, and it's done. That's all it took to put that estimate together. If you picture all of that happening now, as opposed to having to leave the field, come back to your office and do whatever your process is today, with this process, you can do it right there in the field. And if you have a signature block that you put in your form, you can have the customer sign it right there in the field. Think about it if you're a landscaper and you walk the property with the owner and you talk about the things they care about, you take some pictures, and then you create that document right there in the field and sit down with the customer and say, okay, here's the things we talked about, here's the price, here's the frequency, just sign right here. I have to believe that in many occasions, they won't take the time, they won't take the step to wait for the other people to show up to put together a bid and compare them all. In many instances, you'll be able to close that sale right there, right then, while they're thinking about it, and you've just talked about it, and you've demonstrated to them what you can do for their property. Let's move ahead here then for the next one. The next one here is automating the scheduling and the routing. And we're going to talk about it again just briefly before we start the demo, because it's also just about a minute long and I can't talk that fast. So with that said, what you're seeing on the screen here on the right hand side is the dispatch board that the dispatcher and folks in the office that are viewing this and so on have access to. And what they're seeing is, in this case, the scheduling perspective and the map. Every person who's viewing this can set the view up to be exactly how they want it to be. So you might have people that want to work with a scheduler view here and a planner view down here, and then a map over here on the right hand side. You might want to turn it on its head. Whatever, you can do that and it doesn't impact how anybody else sees it. Another quick couple comments here. They're going to show you how they move jobs around. And when they move jobs around, it's simply a drag and drop activity. And what it's doing then is moving it to a new time or moving it to a different technician that's going to take care of that particular job. And that's the end of it right there. That's all it took. Any documentation that you've got behind the scenes in terms of the work order itself and the date and time for it to be done and which technician it's assigned to, all of that kind of record keeping information is changed as a result of the drag and drop. So you don't have to go back in after the fact and remember to change that information. The last element then in the demo, the second to last element in the demo will be the optimization of the route. And they'll literally take Adam Smith right here on the top, and they will take those 4 jobs and show you the process to optimize the route. And the optimization basically is taking into account time of day, traffic, road conditions, and all those kinds of things to define the quickest route to take and the sequence to perform. When we're done with that, then they'll open up very quickly a simulator of the Adam Smith's portable mobile phone. And so you'll see this work order as it appears on Adam's mobile phone and get a sense for how he's viewing it and what actions he can take from there. Okay, without any further comment, here we go. So that's all there is to moving a job, rescheduling it, and all the paperwork happens in the background. Then it shows optimize. They selected Adam Smith, and they're putting in the first location and the finishing location, and the date and time will be next. And they optimize, so it puts the jobs in order. And in this case, it would be run in a clockwise circle. It's going to change how it appears on the schedule here. And then this is looking at it on Adam's mobile device. Each of the 4 jobs. Oh. I lost my picture. I wasn't fast enough for the end there. So as we conclude that portion of it, then the one other element to make you aware of, just in terms of the appearance of the dispatch board, everything you see on the dispatch board here is gold in color, indicating that it's a scheduled job that's been sent to the technician. You know, it's out there where the technician sees it on his device. When the technician gets to the site and he hits start on his mobile device, it turns the job blue. So anybody glancing at the board knows technician's at that job, he started it. If he pauses the job to go to lunch or pick up parts or something like that, it turns it black. If he restarts the job, turns it blue again. And then when he completes the job, it turns it green. So all day long, as various work is being done, the colors are changing and people in the office know exactly what's happening. And then they can take their queue off of a job as it's finished. Perhaps they invoice it right away. Perhaps it hits somebody else's queue then, or somebody else's attention to take another step or some activity with that. All right, let's take the few minutes that we have left and let's go right into the system itself. And with that, we're going to look at the Husky system. And I apologize, I have a bit of a delay there. Okay, in looking at the Husky system, if you've not been in the system before, this is the first screen you see once you've logged in. And you've got your various tabs across the top. And generally the work flows from left to right, but not always. It might come right in at the job standpoint without going through the lead and estimate stage and so on. A couple things that I wanted to show you to help you understand the system is specifically that sorry, trying to get some battery power to this real quick. So specifically, what makes it all work? Why does it operate differently than other systems and those kinds of things? Basically, a lot of the power here on the maintain button will go over to what's generally thought of as settings. And from those settings, you can think about it in terms of the templates that are behind the scenes, the lists that occur. And we're going to go right here to the customer list. It's not unusual to have a customer list and a materials list and so on. but the template behind it is a lot of the power of our ability to have flexibility, show it like your system, and appear like your system and support your work processes. And specifically what I'm implying or talking about there is the ability, I'm going to edit this form. And this is a customer card or customer form. And so now it's got ability to change the functionality of those various fields. And since customer stuff is green, I'm going to scroll down to green. And let's say I want to add a notes field. I click notes, and now I've got a notes field, and I can size it however I want to size it. And I can make it a text input or a drop down or radio button or whatever I want it to be. So that's a very simple concept, but if you picture that capability across multiple layers and the ability to make it look and function how you want it to be, all of a sudden, this is completely different in the sense that it is your business functionality. It is your business processes, and we're supporting that. I'm going to stop at this point. We're about out of time, and we'll schedule some other webinars to talk through individual aspects of this, take you into some of the reporting and some of the functionality that exists in each of those different elements. Thank you so much for your time today, for joining us for this webinar, and we'll look forward to seeing you in the future. Goodbye.